Tonight, your big fact hunt, it's going to be Manchester Mania. You're going to be learning about facts about Manchester. Go. It's on now. Ends 21st of September, 2022. It's over 6 days ago. You've missed out. All right, let's go to the big fact hunt now. You're out of time. Welcome back, big fact hunters, from your task of finding me facts about Manchester. Now, before we begin, I have a confession. I know one thing about Manchester, but I'm not going to say what it is. But if one of you says what it is, you will be immediately disqualified and you won't find out until the end of the show. I would like to start off with Sam.
Phew. Okay. Well, my immediate thought was I wanted to find out things about men called Chester. Like a Manchester. So I looked up the first Chester that came to mind, which was Chester A. Arthur, who was the 21st President of the United States. He reigned from
Chester Williams,
Who's Chester Williams?
1995 World Cup winner, Chester Williams.
Okay, Kenny's losing a point.
Chester.
Oh, from South Africa.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry about the sports thing, Tom. My fact about Chester A. Arthur was that he bloody loved furniture. And he brought lots of fancy furniture into the White House. But this moved on to the most famous Chester that I thought of that came to mind, which was Chester Bennington, who was the lead singer of Linkin Park. Oh God, Tom, you love Linkin Park. Damn it, this could be the thing you were
Rest in peace, Chester Burrows.
Exactly. But I found out that he was born on May the 20th, 1976. And it was the same day that
David.
A lovely man called Michael Goodlife, he was an actor. He was in a film called The Fifth Day of Peace and A Night to Remember. Yeah, Michael Goodlife. It was the same day that he committed suicide at age 61.
Good life.
Goodlife.
You know what happened to Chester Burrows, right?
His name's Chester Bennington. Chester Burrows was an MP.
You know what happened to Chester Bennington?
Yeah, he had a Michael Goodlife as well. So, welcome to the show. Some people kill themselves sometimes, and that's not good.
Sam writes comedy for TV and knows structure.
and children's books.
And children's books. Kenny, please, raise the mood.
That the city of Manchester is quite good at football, but not quite as good as Liverpool. So, if you take the number of Premier League titles that Manchester United and Manchester City have won, which
I'm changing my fact that I hate already.
8, which is 28, and you take the number that Liverpool and Everton have won, and they're from Liverpool, which is 19 plus 9, that's also 28. But then you compare the number of European titles that have been won, and Liverpool are ahead by either 5 versus 3 or 6 versus 3 if you include Everton. Liverpool is better than Manchester at football. I rest my case, Your Honour.
So sorry. Your fact is Manchester is better than Liverpool?
No, Manchester is good at football, but not quite as good as Liverpool is at football.
Great, cool. Well, we've started off to do absolute blinders of facts here.
You can't use the term blinder, you absolute fuckwit.
I think you'll find I can, because I'm looking at my curtains right now. Jen, can you bring this down even further?
I have something that might be a little bit triggering for you, Tom. So I'd just like you to hold on to a happy memory while I start this. I feel like you might be really interested in studying at the University of Manchester because it's the only place in the world where you can take a degree in mummy studies and find out exactly how to wrap them in those 11 herbs and spices that we all know. They use
really
in the
building a
embalming
case for winning.
process. But it actually sounds really cool. So they have a mummy tissue bank, which is a collection of samples, histological slides, and wax-mounted blocks of human tissue from a variety of ancient civilizations which practiced mummification.
Is this school in Manchester, or is it about?
It's the University of Manchester.
Manu University.
Okay. So it's the University of Manchester. It's in Manchester, but it's talking about linen, which is Manchester.
Nathan Kenny.
Hello. So I would like to talk about why Manchester, in terms of linen, is called Manchester. And it's because in Manchester, during the 1800s, there were a lot of linen mills, a lot of textile mills that made a lot of Manchester. But to export it, they needed to send it through Liverpool. And Liverpool charged them a fee. So in a fit of spite, Manchester, which is significantly inland, built in 1894 a canal to avoid paying Liverpool money. And up until that point, Liverpool was a considerably more thriving port city than Manchester. But after that point, it evened out.
I love
It is
that.
worth pointing out it's the first entirely artificial canal in the UK, and they did it just to spite Liverpool. And they were called Cottonopolis because of their ubiquity in the cotton trade.
Cottonopolis. Sorry, I just wanted to say that word.
Cottonopolis.
Cottonopolis.
It's really fun to say, Cottonopolis.
Top the top of your Capitonopolis.
Cottonopolis. I think he plays for the Greek football team.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Cottonopolis is a Pokemon. Jen, can I have a piece of a fact from you?
I would like to tell you about Heavy Baby. How heavy do you think a baby could be?
I was quite heavy as a baby. I was 9 pounds 11 ounces.
I want to say 500 kilos. Yeah, I want to say 500 kilos. Sam was about 500 kilos as a baby.
Yeah, roughly.
Is this the fact that you know, Tom? Tom was right. Baby weighs about 500 kilograms.
Hey!
Baby is currently on display at the Museum of Science and Industry, and Baby is the first electronic stored program computer which was built and made at the University of Manchester in 1949.
Question, is it in the corner?
I don't think you can put Baby in the corner because I imagine Baby needs a lot of cooling mechanisms going on.
Imagine Patrick Swayze holding up a 500-kilogram baby that ran towards him.
But I just really love that they called it Heavy Baby, and I have no idea why. This is the pinnacle of like logic and computer science as it was then in its infancy, and they're like, what should we call it? Heavy Baby.
Heavy baby. But it's like the nuclear bombs, isn't it? When they call them like Fat Boy and Skinny
Fat
Boy or something like that.
Yeah.
Fat Boy and Tall Boy.
Oh boy and Batman.
Oh boy.
Sam, which you give me a plate, please.
I'd love to. I've always thought it's funny that there's Manchester, the city, has 2 football teams, one of which is called Manchester United. Like, there are 2 of them. I've always thought that was funny. And so I got thinking about whether there have been any civil wars in Manchester, and I found out there have been 3. So that was all part of the English Civil War, which was actually 3 separate conflicts. And it lasted from 1641 to 1651.
51, yep.
Yeah, and then in 1642, Tom, damn it, you know it.
Sam's worried that he's going to get.
Yeah, I'm worried that I'm going to get eliminated.
Tom's doing something tricksy. I think he's fact checking us in real time, and it's annoying.
Okay,
I promise you, I am not looking at it. I'm not doing any Googling as we speak.
Make up a fact, Sam. Go on.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. It was all about, there was an argument between King Charles I. We just got a King Charles, number 3.
Hey.
Between him and Parliament, and that's when the Civil War was going on. So my fact is that Manchester hasn't always been united.
There were rioters that were slaughtered by soldiers in Manchester that caused a massive conflagration. I'm remembering this off the top of my head, so this isn't a fact. This is just effectively making.
I hope not, because I do know that part. There, Kenny.
Can I just point out that when Kenny started going on at the start about Manchester football teams, I decided to find out how many football teams Manchester actually has, and it turns out there's Man City, Man United, Manchester Central, which operated from 1928 well into the 1930s. So, several years. There's also, confusingly, there's Man United FC. There's also FC United of Manchester, which is a semi-pro team. There's also Manchester 62 FC in Gibraltar, Manchester City FC in Sierra Leone, and Manchester Congo Moia in the Republic of Congo.
So we're all agreed Manchester United is a huge lie and shouldn't be allowed to exist.
Hey, do you know what they call it when it's the era of King Charles? Because it's Elizabethan, Victorian. It's called the
Carolingian, isn't it?
No, it's called the
Charleston. Yeah. If only we were filming our feet right now. They're going crazy.
I feel that's a name of a town named after Charles.
That oh yeah, good point. That
it's just a very large Charles.
You know that dance where you do with your knees when you cross your knee, or makes your hands look like they're going across while your knees are going wobbly wobbly? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
That's called the proper term for it is Charleston Crazy Legs, which is great because the Charleston is also that one. I'm doing it. I'm the white guy for Dancing with the Stars. I know all forms of dancing.
Jen, can I have some amazing facts?
I would like to give you a choice. Would you like to hear about trains or the concert that changed the world?
Definitely not trains. Trains are boring as shit.
I love trains.
I thought you might like trains. Manchester Liverpool Road Railway Station was the first intercity railway terminus, except it only ran for 14 years, but it's also the world's oldest surviving terminal railway station. So it was opened by the Duke of Wellington in 1830, the 15th of September. It was part of the Liverpool and Manchester Railway, and that trip between Liverpool and Manchester was the first intercity railway service in the world that was designed for passengers. So there had been trains previously, obviously, which took goods and freight, but this was the first one that was designed for passengers. I was interested to see what it was like now. Obviously, it closed in 1844. It now costs around £2.90 and takes between 45 and 70 minutes. Unfortunately, British Rail did not see the value in this historic space, and it was abandoned by them in 1975 and ended up being purchased by Granada Television, who use it to as part of the Granada Studio Tour theme attraction. And it's also used in the long-running soap Coronation Street, which I found out when Googling is the world's longest-running soap opera.
Is Coronation Street set in Salford? Is that technically in Manchester?
It's technically in it's Greater Manchester, I believe.
Wow. I've been to the Rover's Return. Don't know what that accent was.
Sam, fact, please.
I would like to talk to one of the best people from Manchester. It is Emmeline Pankhurst, who you may know from basically getting women the vote in the UK. I know her because she's one of the words in the Sister Suffragette song from Mary Poppins. And I found out, one, that Pankhurst is her married name, which I thought was quite funny. Her maiden name was...
I don't know.
Goody. We'll go with Goody.
I'm assuming Goody because I watched the Crucible.
But here's my fact. Emmeline Pankhurst died the same day
Fuck me.
Che Guevara was born. Those are two revolutionists. That's amazing. The soul from Emmeline Pankhurst travelled from her into Che Guevara through his butt or something like that. He took on the power of Emmeline Pankhurst to do whatever he did. I don't even know what he did, but I know he did something, and he maybe rode a motorbike.
So what we're saying here is that the first suffragette possessed Che Guevara,
Through
or
his
is
butthole, I believe.
is the avatar. Is basically the avatar, and was reincarnated as Che Guevara, but never learned any bending. So okay,
Exactly right.
I mean,
that's it.
It sounds plausible. Kenny, I'd like another fact.
Did you know that Manchester is quite good at music? I mean, from Manchester, there were the Smiths, the Stone Roses, Joy Division, the Bee Gees. Okay, not so good at movies. music.
Sorry. Stop the podcast. The Bee Gees are fucking awesome.
Bee Gees are amazing. The Bee Gees are as good as Oasis, the Sex
Anyway.
Pistols, all those amazing bands.
And Oasis. But Manchester might be quite good at music, but they're not quite as good at music as Liverpool, because Oasis were known as the next Beatles, but the original Beatles, along with bands like Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Jerry and the Pacemakers, Cilla Black, are from Liverpool.
Cilla Black is a band now.
Cilla
She's
Black.
very talented.
And have you seen the really quite nice, quite twee movie Yesterday, which is all about a conceit where someone goes to a world where the Beatles don't exist. He then Googles Oasis, and Oasis don't exist either. So without the Beatles, you could have not have Oasis. Without the Beatles, there would be no music as we know it today. Liverpool is better at music than Manchester. I rest my case.
So this is not a fact about Manchester. This is another fact about Liverpool.
No, it was Manchester's quite good.
I think this sounds a lot like a fact about Liverpool.
Quite as good.
Sounds a lot like a fact about Liverpool.
I love that. I love that you've put Cilla Black as like the famous musician from Liverpool, who I know is the host of Blind Date.
She's a very good singer.
We need to take a break for one of our sponsors. Let's face it, you're dumb as shit. Most of us are. Dimwits, mouth breathers, podcast consumers. There's a whole lot of wheels and a whole lot of dead hamsters out there. Thankfully, there are smart people willing to make their genius available to all of you himbos and bimbos out there. With the great courses, you can have access to lessons from some of the greatest minds on the planet, and by God, will you be grateful. They could be doing anything right now, and instead they have to sit in front of a camera in the hopes of making the world just a little less dumber. Less dumber. See, now you got me doing it. With the Great Courses Plus, you get access to courses like Playing Hockey to Mozart by Wolfgang Puck, Managing a Budget by Bill Nye, The French Art of Turkey Raising by Paris Gobbles, Weightlifting with Mariah Carey's, and Path Making for Dummies by Near deGrasse Tiles On. So get smart, moron. By entering the code BONER420, you can get 10% off. And if you can't figure out what 10% off is, we've got a course for you, Joe Rogan fans. The Great Courses Plus, Bonehead.
I just need to grab a quick cup of tea because I'm absolutely parched.
Oh, can you get me one?
Yeah. Okay.
Should we pause the recording?
Oh, we can just wait for a second. Yeah, that's
Just
funny.
microwave it again. Oh, no,
Whenever
she can't.
she can't. Oh, and it'd be funny if yeah, it's funny whenever you talk about Carries, you think about dentistry.
Hey Sam, here you go.
Oh, thanks, Jen.
What the fuck?
How did we do this? Guys, wait, keep watching.
What the hell just happened? Oh my god.
No wonder the internet was shut.
Hi. There's two of us. We've been here the
What are
whole
you doing in
time.
Wellington, you idiot?
OMG.
Ah, I'm so happy about this.
We thought that would be fun.
We've
That's
been
very cool.
That is
Yeah.
so good.
Buddy.
Conniving little.
That is
Jed,
very good.
Jed, I was seeing the background. I was like, oh, I should sneak into the background.
That is so good. That is the second best twist of the show. All right, Sam, please, a fact.
My fact is thread count, schmed count. So Manchester is often linen, I'm talking about, which is apparently only a term that is still used in, according to Google, South Africa and Australia and New Zealand, apparently. But yeah, only South Africa and what was the other one I said? Australia. And so I looked up, someone did a study into like what thread count actually matters, like, and apparently after 500, you can't tell. They had experts check the thread count of things between 500 and 1,000 thread count, and those experts said that 500 and 1,000 felt exactly the same. So thread count, schmed count. It's like 500. So get stuff between 300 and 500 and don't waste your money on other things. Better living,
Good.
everyone.
Kenny,
Many amazing cities have been European capital of culture. So Athens, Florence, Paris, Tunis at the moment, which is in Lithuania. In 2008, Liverpool was European capital of culture. Manchester has never been European capital of culture. That is my
Amazing.
fact.
Did Manchester like hook up with your girlfriend or something? Like,
I think the thing is that Manchester never gave him a girlfriend, and I think he's still bitter about that. He couldn't give him for a city; he had to get a whole country to give him a girlfriend.
I could say derogatory things about Mancunian women, but they'd beat me up.
Yep. Jen, can I please have a fact from you?
okay, well, speaking of the fine women of Manchester, Manchester's built on a tit.
What?
So Manchester has been permanently settled since about the 1st century Common Era, and it was initially called Mamucium, which is thought to be like a Latinization of an original Celtic word, which has the same kind of root as the Roman mamare, which means boob,
Mammoth?
because the hill that it's built on looks like a boob. It also houses the oldest free public reference library in the United Kingdom. It opened in 1653 and it's still open today, which I just think is really cool.
I reckon
Mammoth-
books are overrated. Speaking
So
of
is
books, I went to a bookstore today and I found that they had some copies of my books there, so I put them all like in really prominent positions.
All over Margaret Mayhew's ones.
Yeah. Oh no, the ones that I hid were the wonky donkey, which can get fucked.
Man, you were saying that it's similar to the word mammoth, which means, so mammoth as in big woolly elephant. Is that the similar word that you were saying?
Well, mammoths
no,
look like boobs.
mammary, as in like mammary glands and mammogram and
Because mastodon, which is a kind of mammoth, its name means master boob tooth. So this is a dental related fact that Sam might give me points for.
You have 69
If
points
only
from me.
Sam was the fact controller this week.
Yeah,
Kenny,
yeah.
you're
If
winning
only-
next time I win.
And if only someone hadn't completely burned half their bridges with Liverpool facts. All right. Kenny, please,
Ooh.
a fact.
Did you know that the most expensive pint in the UK in the most recent Money Guru survey, which was a year ago, but I digress, was £13 in London. The average price in Manchester was £3.93, but significantly cheaper than that. In Liverpool, it's only £3.45 for the average pint.
That's because
So
it's made out of canal water from a fake canal.
Manchester, quite cheap compared to London, but not as cheap as Liverpool.
Kenny, hey, Kenny, do you want to be here?
You're not a bad
Just-
guy, Kenny.
You're not a bad guy.
you know what's worse though, Manchester.
Just really give it a go, Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny, I think you'd really enjoy this game if you actually kind of tried a little bit harder. I mean, you've got a PhD, mate. I think just try and see if you can get that to kind of show through.
Solid gold facts I'm giving you, and this is just sort of
Kenny, could I just say I completely agree with you. I think you're nailing it. It's fine.
I'd like a fast fact, please.
You like a fast fact.
Yeah.
In Germany, Czechoslovakia, the Netherlands, and Belgium, and current Swedish, corduroy is called Manchester cloth.
What?
Ooh.
We talked about corduroy in the pants episode. In this episode, I've taken you on a journey from my home in Auckland to Jen's house in Wellington. A journey from a bunch of people killing themselves to this, the height of facts for this wonderful podcast. We all know Manchester is full of famous musicians. Did you know that Liam Gallagher of Oasis is named after two Liverpudlians? Here we go, Kenny. I'm on board with you. Liam John Paul, that's half of the Beatles, Gallagher.
yeah.
Liam John Paul, also a pope. Two popes.
Not even to mention Pope Gallagher.
Mhm.
Is he the one that smashes the watermelons? Oh, it's
He
just
fell out with
Gallagher.
his brother. He fell out with his brother and never turned up to their concert because he was at church, too busy throwing stuff onto his fire and letting people know what Pope he was.
Every time he took
Oh,
a
cool
shit,
Pope.
he put up brown smoke into the air. Oh, Pope's taking a shit.
When he's feeling festive, he keeps chucking fireworks onto it.
Chinese New Year. Oh, the Pope's celebrating Chinese New Year.
Oh, the Pope's Chinese now.
I saw a picture thing that showed where all the different popes have been from. Like one was British. There were like quite a few from France, like 16 or something like that. A couple of Spanish ones, one from Argentina, and 217 from Italy. Like they're really hogging that popeness.
There were two popes at a time for a while, and one was
There were
based in
three at one point.
Too many popes.
Too many
many
popes.
popes. Too many
Too many
popes
popes in
spoil
the
the
kitchen.
cloth.
Well, I have 15
One.
wonderful facts. Now, I have a second
One
confession. I actually know quite a lot about Manchester because I have spent the last half an hour researching Manchester. So, while you have all been studying women and drinks, I was studying the Blade in Manchester. And so every fact that I found, I've decided to subtract from your facts. So if I know a fact, it no longer counts. Because I don't trust you guys, so I did my own research.
Very good. You're meant to do your own research. That's good.
Do your own research. Thankfully, Kenny immediately disqualifies himself for having 4 facts about Liverpool and only one that I knew about Manchester.
You're subtracting a negative from a negative, so I'm positive. So yes.
Sam, you had an advantage in this, so let's go through and let's have a look. Okay, so Sam, something about Chester from Linkin Park, popping himself. Great, excellent. Sam, you have an advantage in this because your facts are insane and I don't know what to do with them. Kenny had some stupid fact about Manchester and sports, a couple of was ridiculous. Something about Liverpool. Jenny did the mummy studies. Yeah, I'm sorry, I did know the mummy studies one. I did also know about Heavy Baby. I did know the number. And I also did know about the Civil War, Sam. And unfortunately for Sam, I also did know about the thread count thing. This is very tricky. Okay. You know what, Jen, I do love the fact that Manchester is built on a bird but I did know that fact. Same. Same with the railway. This is tricky. This is very tricky because I do know a lot about Manchester now. But you know what I don't know about Manchester? Here's something I don't know about Manchester. And Jen, well done. Because corduroy is Manchester cloth. I love that fact. I love that fact for its beautiful simplicity.
Thank you so much.
Sam,
I deserve this. And Sam is applauding me gently from a safe distance, which is appropriate. I'd just like to thank all of my good friends in Manchester, and in particular Corduroy, for being so weirdly itchy and musical.
Did you know that corduroy was worn by Michael Jackson in the Smooth Criminal video?
And then he killed a guy. Thank you all so very much for giving me those facts, that many of which I already knew. But, next, I look forward to seeing you all. If you enjoyed the facts that we had, if you have a fact that I don't know, please put it in the comments. If you have a story about Manchester, preferably not one about Liverpool, put that in the comments as well. Follow us on our socials, like and subscribe, and we will see you all next week for Jen's Big Fact Hunt.